It is important to use strategies to support children's learning when using food as a part of classroom activities. In this video, we will talk about how you as a teacher can support the children in your classroom to engage their senses and have positive food experiences in the classroom. You can support learning in your classroom by using the strategies 1. Enthusiastically role model, 2. Using effective verbal praise, and 3. Encouraging self-regulation. First, let's talk about how you can enthusiastically role model during food experiences in your classroom. You can role model healthy eating by tasting healthy foods along with children during food learning experiences. For example, you can audibly and positively describe a healthy food while you're tasting it. For instance, this broccoli is so crunchy and fresh. Would you like to try some? Next, let's talk about how you can use effective verbal praise to support children during food activities in the classroom. What you say to children about food matters. Use effective verbal praise when incorporating food experiences in the classroom. Effective verbal praise is more than a simple good job. Rather, effective praise is both specific and relevant. For example, instead of saying, "Good job eating all your tomatoes," try saying, "I see you tried to tomato today using your sense of taste. What did you think?" When talking to children about food, remember, food is never used as a reward or to console children. This practice may actually cause children to eat fewer vegetables. Instead, consider using small rewards like stickers, small tokens, or verbal praise as incentives. Instead of saying, "If you eat all your broccoli, you can have a cupcake later," try saying, "I see you are observing your broccoli with your sense of sight. What do you see?" Children should not be punished for what they do or do not eat. This leads us perfectly into our last support learning strategy for food experiences, which is encouraging self-regulation. This means trusting children to eat the amount their body needs. Did you know that children are born with the natural ability to eat and decide when they're full? Your responsibility is to provide the food, the place to eat, and the time to eat, while the child's responsibility is to decide how much to eat and whether to eat at all. This sounds self-explanatory, but as adults, we often forget this and try to get children to eat, especially vegetables, using creative tactics. These tactics, such as bribing, for instance, "You can have a cupcake after you eat your broccoli." Cheerleading, for instance, "Woohoo, you finally tried your broccoli." Punishing, for instance, "You have to eat your broccoli warm now or cold for breakfast." Or deceiving, for instance, hiding vegetables in macaroni, actually have the opposite effect. These tactics teach children that something must be inherently wrong with vegetables to make adults so crazy about getting children to eat them. Instead, follow the let children decide if they would like to try strategy and allow children to decide if and when they would like to eat or try their vegetables. Regardless of their decision, continue to role model to them that you personally enjoy eating vegetables and continue to provide them with opportunities to try vegetables if they'd like. During food experiences in your classroom, this may mean that some children don't ever taste a vegetable at the end of an activity. That's okay. Think back to repeated exposure. Every time a child has an experience with that vegetable, the more likely they are to eat it at some point in the future. If children aren't willing to eat the vegetable, they might be willing to kiss it, lick it, or take a bite and then spit it out instead. This will allow children to gain more exposure to the vegetable even though they don't want to eat it. Our only job as the adults is to be responsible for providing the vegetables to children, and the child's job is to decide whether to eat it and how much to eat. It's that simple. By using these strategies to support learning, you can be an advocate for children to develop positive, healthy eating behaviors that set them up for a future of health. Try to pick one of the strategies and implement it in your class this week. Now that you've learned these 3 strategies to support learning while using food activities in your classroom, let's take a moment to review what we've learned. First, be sure to enthusiastically role model positive eating behaviors for the children in your classroom. You can taste healthy foods along with children and positively react to and describe the food as you're eating it. Second, use effective verbal praise to encourage children as they engage in food-based learning activities. Make sure that your praise is both specific and relevant. Third, let children decide if they would like to try foods which are offered to them during food activities. Remember, it is our role as adults to provide the time, place, and food for eating, but it is the job of the children to decide what, how much, and whether to eat. Don't worry if children aren't willing to consume a food at the end of an activity. Remember, simply exposing the child to the food makes them more likely to try it next time. For more ideas, check out your P's teaching guide.